And salutations to everybody out there in YouTube land. I'm your host, once again, Dan Thornton. And I want to thank you all for joining us here today, Sunday, to Lions Talk Live, morning show edition. You know what? One of the biggest topics we'll be facing all off season long as we go into the NFL draft in just a few weeks. You know, a lot of people across the NFL are saying, hey, Jared Goff is starting to get some praise. He's starting to be recognized as potentially one of the top 10 quarterbacks in all NFL. And I think if you're a Lions fan, you got to look back on his time here and say, hey, there's been some ups and downs and everywhere in between. We all debated, are the Lions going to look at Hendon Hooker somewhere in the preseason or whatever? But I'm going to say this. When it's all said and done, here's what we know about Jared Goff. Jared Goff has led this team to be within 3 points of its first ever Super Bowl. Jared Goff has helped resurrect this franchise just as much as Brian Holmes, MCDC, and everybody in between. Jared Goff, though, as we are all aware, is in the final year of his contract that once upon a time was groundbreaking and shattering in the NFL. Everybody was like, wow, he got paid how much? Now everybody looks at it and goes, ooh, that's pretty cheap. But whatever it is, Jared Goff is going to be under the gun a little bit this season for a multitude of reasons. This is, I think most of us can debate, the deepest team, maybe even one of the best overall rosters in the entire NFL. And he's the quarterback of the team. He's also, as I said, in the final year of his contract. So a lot of things are going to be presenting itself to Jared Goff. He's going to ride or die, probably based in great part on how he performs this year. So the pressure is on, like the thumbnail says. The Lions are Super Bowl ready now. I don't think anybody's debating that, especially after last year's performance and the performance of the team overall. Seasons. He's in the final year of his contract. It's do or die time for Jared Goff. If he comes out and just crushes it this season, I don't think there's any way he's leaving Detroit in the foreseeable future as a quarterback. If he has the less than stellar season, that's going to probably put a few things into question. But that's why I want us to all debate today and in this video. What do you think of Jared Goff? What is your deep, darkest, honest, most opinion on the guy? Is he the savior of the franchise, which a lot of people, I think, would say? You still hear people chanting Jared Goff's name at sporting events across the country. And that needs to say something, a couple months after the NFL season has concluded, that people are still embracing him. Or do you think, are you in the bus that you think, hey, Lions need to look for somebody else, whether it's Hendon Hooker or whoever else? So it's the greatest debate I think we're facing this offseason. Other than, man, what are we going to do in the draft? But we have less than 3 weeks until that. So let's dive into this topic today. It's going to be a big one, I'm sure. It's going to be one that everybody's going to have different views on it. There's no wrong view. Just go with your view and be respectful of others. All right, real quick, before we get into the video, a couple things is I'm sure you're all aware. If you haven't yet subscribed to Lions Talk Live, please consider doing so. We are whatever we are. We're about 75 subs away from hitting 6,400. And if you enjoy the content within the video, please consider hitting that thumbs up button. Last but never least, if you're inside the state of Michigan, anywhere in it, Upper Peninsula, Lower Peninsula, yada, yada, anywhere inside the physical boundaries of the state, and you're considering buying or selling property, give me a call or shoot me a text. You see the number on the screen, 269-998-2384. I know yesterday I drove over to the Thumb of Michigan to help a Lions Talk Live person list their property. Drove over to Grand Rapids, and I know I'm going up to Detour Village, and that's over in the Upper Peninsula, in about a month to help somebody else out. So if you're considering buying or selling property, you want somebody to try to save you some money and take some of the stress off you, give me a call, shoot me a text. Let's see if we can help you out. All right, Lions Talk Live, let's get going. Let's get debating the greatest debate this offseason, in my opinion. What do you do with Jared Goff? Do you extend him for 29 years? Do you extend him for 2 years? Do you let him play out the season and see where things go? Do you franchise tag him? All things are on the table. You guys let me know what you're thinking. Let's get into it. All right, as I got to scroll up to the top of the screen. All right. Oh, there's a few comments in the section this morning. All right, JDC, good morning, all. Good morning to you, JDC. Matthew, greetings and salutations. Good morning, everyone. Super Bowl or a bust. Woo! The first woo of the show. Hatman, good morning, Dan and Duke crew. Woo! Don't forget about your earbuds. Yes, if you're watching and you got people sleeping around you, like I know Jen's downstairs sleeping, she's probably regretting that decision to be within ear's distance of us right now. So here we go. All right, burger time. Good morning, Duke Crew and Dan the Man. Let's go unfinished business 2024, 2025. Woo! There you go. Yes, it is unfinished. That close last year. Just man, really last season, a couple plays from being in the Super Bowl, one or two things go differently. Right before halftime, I know Gibbs runs that deep in route in the end zone. He kind of slips up a little bit because of it. The pass to him, which if he doesn't slip, that's a touchdown. We catch that, we probably are in the Super Bowl. Vildor, we've talked about it this week. The interception that wasn't off his face mask. Sutton drops a couple of picks. Josh Jacobs drops a couple fourth down picks. Gibbs fumbles. I mean, there's a lot of blame to go around, but we were that close. Trump, woo! Another woo. There we go. And good morning to you too. Dave, what do you got? Good morning, all. I do wonder if the team won't extend Goff until they see him perform this upcoming season. He's done very well in Detroit. I believe he will do so again this year. Yeah, I'd say there's probably at this point every confidence in Jared Goff and his abilities. He has, righted the ship, whatever you want to say. I get the last season or so in LA wasn't his greatest. And there's probably, if you were to do a deep dive on it, a lot of reasons behind it, and probably also some stuff we'll never be privy to or be just speculation. But whatever it is, he's matured, he's grown. He's also, I think, an example why I think a lot of quarterbacks in this league get hung out to dry. They get to 23, 24. If they haven't hit certain quotas or marks, teams move on from them. And I just think the NFL does a disservice. They're in such a win now mode, most teams, that they're going for another young rookie quarterback that they're probably going to blow up. I don't know if Broski Bear will be in here this morning, but I will say this. I think the Bears are in a bad situation when it comes to developing a rookie quarterback. I hope I'm wrong, just for the kids' sake. But when it comes to Jared Goff and just focusing on him, you look at the difference between him when he was 22 and 23. And now that he's 28, 29, he's matured not only as a football player, but also as a human being. And I think that's also why he's doing better here in some regards than he did in LA, just because he's a different person at this point. He can emotionally handle the pressure better. All right, Matthew, if our O-line stays strong and healthy, there's no reason why Jared Goff should not be able to take us to the Super Bowl, exclamation point. I agree. I think you look at the schedule this year, nobody's probably going undefeated in the league this year, and Detroit's not, an exception to that. But I think Detroit, we're built to take on any team in this league. I don't think there's really a single weakness that's glaring on this team anymore. And the draft is only going to probably further strengthen them. It will be interesting to see how early we address offensive line, if we do at all. If we don't address offensive line, I think the next morning's chat when the draft's over, everybody's going to be like, oh, what the heck's going on? But I think we would also have to take a step back and say the front offices and the coaching staff must obviously have a lot of faith in the players that we have currently on the team in order to not add anybody new to that spot. All right, Hammond. Dan, the one thing that nobody seems to mention much is how Joe Cool Goff stays in the pocket. Yes, there have been games where he's gotten rattled. However, he is always as cool as the cucumber and has taken some. Yeah, and you're 100% right. Like what I was just talking about, man, his last year in L.A., he did get rattled. He did not look great. That's why they wanted to move on from him, thought he was going to end up being a bust. Obviously, that didn't happen. Sean McVay probably has some regrets over how it was handled, and maybe even the trade. Then again, they did get a Super Bowl, so at the end of the day, mission accomplished if you're the Rams. And if you're Lions, yeah, you took a shot at this guy, but we always talk about the eye for talent that Brad Holmes has. Well, consider this. He's the one who said, yeah, we need to get Goff. We need to have him a part of this trade. No, this is our quarterback of the now and the future, not just a bridge quarterback. So give Brad Holmes credit once again. He knew something other people didn't. All right, Thomas, greetings, salutations, Duke Crew, exclamation point. What a great position to be in, to be available to just take best player available. Brad has built a solid team. He really has. There are no holes on this team, and I can't wait to see what we're going to do in the draft. All right, Dean, what do you got? Greetings and salutations. Goff will go off this season if that offensive line is strong. I agree. The line's strong, the Goff will do well. That's why I'm still thinking we draft guard or tackle. Ooh, in the first round. It could be. I think probably most people would speculate we're going to take a guard who can also play center. But to your point, I know we chatted about it yesterday. I'm pretty sure it was yesterday in the morning show that tackle I don't think is off the table. There's probably some opportunity for them to draft a tackle, somebody they're going to develop for a year or two, and see what happens from there. Because at some point, you're probably moving Panay Sewell over to left tackle. Decker, who's I think he's got a year, maybe 2 seasons left on his current contract, then probably has to face a choice to either move inside the guard or his time in Detroit might be about done. He's still playing at a high level, Decker, but I do think you're starting to see some signs of what his career has done to his body, especially his footwork, his ability to move and slide. So, food for thought. Yeah, man. Good shots to complete his passes. There you go. There we go. We'll go with that. Yeah, he takes some good shots to complete his passes. Yeah, he has. He's stood up there and taken some hits for sure. Yeah, I had to put together your two different comments there, but I get you now, man. All right, Dave, what do you got? Good morning, everyone. I think we will draft a tackle, and this may be Decker's final season on the outside. Move him to guard next after this season, after this year. Yeah, I know that's also something that's been speculated by the Duke crew for a while. Could it be possible that Decker moves inside the guard? I think it would prolong his career if he wants to remain alive for a while. Because, like I said, I think he still blocks well, but his lateral quickness or movement seems to have been impeded the last few seasons. And it could be a lot of reasons for it, but I do think if he moves inside the guard, he can probably extend his career another 3 seasons or so, roughly. All right, Trump. Good morning, Duke crew. Ready for tomorrow's big event? Not sure what tomorrow's big event is. So maybe. The solar. Yeah, the solar eclipse. Man, I'm sorry, man. I didn't even think about it. Sure, man. I'm ready for it. I was even surprised when I was driving all over the place yesterday. I was stopping in a few different Myers to charge the car and everything. They're selling glasses and stuff for it. Somebody saw an opportunity to make a couple bucks, and good for them, I guess. All right, Hookadoo. Good morning, Coach and Duke crew. Back at you. Hopefully, having a great one. Grant's evening, everyone. Personally, I am hoping we trade up and get Latua or a great pass rush option. I mean, really, we can go so many different ways this draft. I know we keep talking about what if this situation, that situation. That's the beauty of it. That we could do anything. Trade up, trade back, trade sideways, you stand pat. And we're all guessing. And everybody I talk to, whether it's on the show or in person, whoever is in the same boat. What are we gonna do? Nobody knows because Brad Holmes is just doing a great job keeping that information in-house. He and probably two other people in the organization have a fairly good idea what the Lions want to do. And they're gonna have to make some adjustments as the draft unfolds because there's going to be some unforeseen picks, selections, or whatever, and you're going to have to make in draft adjustments as we go. I'm guessing they've ran through probably about 70 to 100 different scenarios. What if this happens? This happens, and yeah, they've got all their notes probably pretty ironed out by this point. All right, Hatman. So glad seeing all the new members of the best family in the country. Woo! 100% with that. Yeah, we I know there's probably going to be days that are busier than others, but there was one live chat. I can see how many people are in it once the show ends or whatever. It gives you like updates and stuff. There was one this week where we're at like 1,700 people watching live, and I was like, wow. It wasn't even like breaking news or anything. But most days I'd say there's probably like 500, 700, somewhere in that range. Some days, like typically Fridays, are a little bit slower, and I get it. Fridays probably everybody just getting ready for the weekend. We might drop to like 400 or 500, but the Duke crew from like a year ago, man, when we would have like I don't even know, maybe like 50 people watching. It's growing and way beyond anything I ever saw coming. So kudos to the Duke crew for expanding, I guess. Trump, I think offensive line with the first pick or defensive end. Yeah, I'd say that's where most people are probably projecting. And who knows? Maybe we draft whoever, but I would say most people are probably thinking the same as you there, Trumps. All right, Hatman, same here. Trump say, fair enough. All right, Jesse, what do you got? Greetings, salutations all. Regarding Goff, I thought he was trash when we picked him up. I don't think that way anymore unless he just falls apart this season. The team will sign him for at least 3 seasons. Yeah, I'd say that's fair. You look at his numbers compared to the best quarterbacks in the league over the last, yeah, I got 3 years, whatever that he's been here in Detroit. He's a top 10 quarterback. He's a top four quarterback in the league when you look at just those time frames. And again, just from a statistical standpoint. Um, so can the team really move off him? And I would say the only way that's probably going to happen is if they just feel whoever else is the option they're going to go to is just lights out ahead of Goff. And I think the chance of that happening is pretty remote. I know Brad Holmes has, used the moniker or the saying that it's a whole lot easier to get worse than it is better at that position. And I agree. I get the infatuation a lot of fans have with Hendon Hooker, and hey, rightly so. The kid seems to have a lot of the right stuff you're looking for, but it's always a roll of the dice if you put a rookie out there, even though he's not a rookie, somebody who's never played at that level before. You roll the dice to see what they can do because people can look one way in practice, but you get some 300-pound dude hitting you once or twice under that chin, you might become somebody completely different. And Goff, while he hasn't been perfect by any stretch, I think he's been a whole lot more right than he's been wrong in his time in Detroit. And you know what? The pressure doesn't seem to get to him anymore like it did, perhaps in his final seasons in LA. All right, Bo, what do you got? Good morning, Duke Crew, Superdome or bust, 100%. Goff gets us over the Hillary step. Yep, the NFC Championship game. We get there, we can win it all. I agree. I think we're in it to win it this year. And I think you look at everything Brad Holmes has done this offseason, while other than DJ Reader, he hasn't really overly spent cash or capital to get somebody, but he's put a ton of players on this team. He's filled a ton of depth in a ton of different spots. To me, it sure seems like Brad Holmes feels like it's in it or win it time. George, good morning, all. Good morning to you too, George. Hopefully, having a do one. Ed, good morning, Coach and Duke Crew. Back at you, Ed. Hopefully, you're having some fun out there fishing this morning and having a great day. Bo, what do you got? I'm hoping for clear skies to see the eclipse, Trump. Yeah, and what is that? I think it's like 2 to like 4 o'clock tomorrow or something like that. Because I think you guys know Jen works for public school systems, and there was something she was saying that they had put out some sort of you know reminder or whatever that the buses will be picking up kids during this eclipse, and need to have certain safety precautions, whatever. So yeah, I'll be like probably all you guys, probably watching it and paying some attention to it, but doing it while wearing some protective gear. All right, Big Eddie, what do you got? Great salutations, Coach. I snagged me one of those Motor City Mauler glasses. Your lady did a nice job with it. Yeah, I mean, she really, she really gets a little OCD at times. I mean, she gets her mind on something. Everything else is oblivious. I can be standing next to her talking to her about whatever, and she might hear me. Maybe, probably not. So yeah, I'll just say this. She really focused on it and she got that stuff done. I hope you all enjoy it. You can go to the website, whatever, lionstalklive.com and check it out. And if you like it, great. If you guys have other stuff you want her to do or change or whatever, make sure you let me know. All right, Trumps, can any Cam Sutton news? Nothing I've heard about, but it's a weekend. So my guess is, I mean, who knows when he gets his day in court, but my anticipation is it's probably a couple months out. So he might not be you really have a verdict one way or another for some time. Maybe, hopefully for his situation before the NFL season. So if it does all wash out or whatever or go away, maybe he can resume his career. But I don't think anybody's touched him until they know what's going to happen with him. All right, Virgil, what do you got? In Goff, I trust! Exclamation point! And good morning. Good morning to you too. I think everybody, if you're a Lions fan, you're putting your faith in Jared Goff to take you to the promised land, get it all done, etc. Try to get us to the Super Bowl and just get there and win it. So see what shakes out, see what happens. Sorry, I'm just turning some notifications off here so this thing stops rattling all over the place. And there we go. All right, sorry about that, guys. All right, Matthew, trading up will take too much capital. If we trade 29 and 73 for Carolina's 33 and 39, or Washington's 36 and 40, then it will only cost you a couple of future picks, maybe a second and a third in 2025 or 26. So, all right, so you're wanting to trade back and get multiple second rounders. All right. So if we trade back, I can see us picking up one of those second rounders, But yeah, you'd have to give up something else to get the additional second rounder. The one with boy, I'm trying to think which one would be easier to get because you're kind of splitting hairs with both of them. I don't know, man. But I think if you give them a first and like a third or and maybe a sixth or whatever, then maybe you could do it. But who knows? Maybe there's a player on that board that team just really is salivating to get. So that's why I think what would ultimately benefit Detroit the most if they want to trade back is a player A or B or whoever, probably a quarterback, slides to 29 and somebody wants to leapfrog somebody else to go get them. Yeah, then you get somebody to make emotional decisions, not calculated decisions. And that's when you're going to get a team, maybe two, to overpay or try to overpay. All right, Robert, what do you got? Greetings to you too, and good morning. Kurt, good morning. I do that, Matthew Grice. Fair enough. Yeah, I mean, hey, if it works out where you can get the players you want and you can pick up more capital, then go for it, man. Hatman, whether you're watching live or watching later, please hit that like button, family. Dan works his butt off, keeping us informed and keeping it in the best content show. Hey, I do this for fun, as most of you guys know. I enjoy it exponentially. So yeah, if anything you guys can do to help the channel or anything you want me to do to try to help the channel, just throw it out there. Most of you guys have my number. You can text me or whatever. Some of you guys come up with some pretty good thoughts, and I try to incorporate the stuff as best I can. So, but thank you for that. All right, Ed. I'm reading where 49 million a year for Goff would be a good home discount deal. How much can how can that be when Mahomes makes 45 mil? Ed, I guess just because of the timing of it all. Holmes signed his contract, I want to say 2 years ago. Don't hold me to that, but that sounds about right. So just those contracts only go one way, and they're only going to keep going one way unless people stop watching the NFL. So, wow, could Goff get 49 mil a year, and that could be a discounted deal? I guess we'll see what shakes out, but I'm still hoping he signs for about 40 mil a year. If he does that, he's taking a pretty good pay cut to remain here and see what we can do for him. Trump's thumbs up. All right. Yes, yeah. If you can hit the thumbs up button. All right. Jedi Sith Music. Good morning. Good morning to you too. Hopefully you're having a great one. Bo, what do you got? I'm still hoping for Certain. That would end most talk about trading up or down. Yeah, I would agree, unless you're talking like later round picks and stuff like that. But Certain would be awesome. That secondary would become probably the closest thing to a no-fly zone the Detroit Lions have had since, I don't know. I mean, you'd really be testing some stuff here. I mean, it's no disrespect to some of the Benny Blades, Ray Crockett, William White secondaries that they had here in the 90s. Those were pretty dang good. I just think this particular secondary, if you added someone like a Certain, that's as deep as you may ever see in the NFL. I mean, that's just an incredibly deep secondary at that point. Thaddeus, what I got? Good morning, y'all. Good morning to you too. Rocky, good morning, Duke Crew and Coach. Back at you, Rock. Hopefully, you have a good one. Go, Adrian. Just kidding. Aaron, what do you got? Good morning, evening. Dan, in Australia, do you think any Michigan players that the Lions would pick up in the draft? Question mark. Go Lions. There's definitely a few players out there that from especially on the defensive side of things. I think somewhere in the draft could they become options for Detroit? Sure. The kicker, I don't remember his name offhand. Could he be an option? He's got a fairly big leg. Is he as accurate as the Lions would want? Debatable, but some of those guys. I'm trying to think on offense. Maybe there's probably some depth players you could add here and there. But yes, in short, I do believe there are some, Aaron, that could potentially be a Detroit Lion. All right, Matthew, if you can pull off the trade, then you have 2 picks before 40 instead of 61. You can get a center to back up Ragnow, an edge, and a D tackle or offense. Yeah, if you pull off what you were suggesting with the multiple second round picks, 100% with that. All right, Hatman, Ed McMahon makes more. But Ed Mahomes makes more on endorsements than his contract, so he can make less on contract and still make way more. Yeah, and he's taking a very, I guess you say, Tom Brady approach to that. He understands that as long as he's winning and winning at a high level consistently, that endorsement money is going to come in more and more, and it's going to supersede his playing contract. So I think you're correct with that, man. All right, Brent, what do you got? Good morning, everyone. Hated the Goff trade when it happened, but he's proven me wrong. He has the moxie to lead the team all the way. Superdome or bust. Woo! 100%. And yeah, I think most of us when he came, I remember I actually was at the first Lions game with Goff at Ford Field against the San Francisco 49ers. And man, there were some fans just unloading on him left and right. It just wasn't high expectations. Nobody really thought he was great. You could see that, I think, across most of the national landscape. There just wasn't a big belief in Jared Goff anymore. But you know what? Like, dude's picked himself off the turf. He's brushed himself off, and he has resurrected his career. And the Lions have been the beneficiaries of that. All right, Ogadoo, Brent, in Goff we trust 100%. Bo, what do you got? Jordan, Brady, they could have afforded to pay for free. Yeah, they could have, yeah, especially MJ. I mean, he was already making near billions by the time he ended his career from endorsement deals. Does Goff have much endorsement value yet? Question mark. Give him a Super Bowl win and could. I think the biggest problem with Goff, while you can see he's getting some endorsements, I think a lot of it's his personality. Now, maybe the right director or producer or something could use that to their advantage in endorsement deals, but he's a little introverted in that respect. He's not a big personality guy. I think off the field, but yeah, could he do it if he wins a Super Bowl or something? Is he going to get some endorsement deals? Probably. And could he extend that beyond that with the right guidance? Yeah, there's also probably room for that. All right, Ed, what do you got? Is endorsement a common thing in the NFL? I know Brady and of course Peyton, yeah, had them. I see St. Brown is doing deodorant commercials now. Hey, if you got a good agent, they're trying to get you deals anywhere they can because the more money they bring into you, the more they get paid. Um, so yeah, I mean, there's a lot of guys in multiple different sports that are doing endorsement stuff at different levels and abilities. So somebody's always, if you got a good agent, they're always looking for that deal for you because again, you make more money, they make more money. Property Lord, we got good morning all. Good morning to you too. Rocky, what do you got? Jared Goff needs to work on scrambling and throwing more accurate on the run. Lead those receivers to protect them. Seems like a few too high and behind win in trouble. Yeah, it definitely. I think you're 100% right there, Rocky. It's probably not his strength there. Could he improve upon it? Sure. Maybe he is working on it. I'm not privy to that, but it probably wouldn't hurt him to, continue to evolve quarterback. All right, Brent, I'm wondering if Brad doubles down on the offensive line this draft. It's possible. It's definitely possible just because Frank the Tank and Taylor Decker, they're getting up there. They've been a little beat up. Would it hurt Detroit to have replacements on the roster now for them in the future? Probably not. So we'll have to wait and see, but that's not a bad idea, Brent. JDC, don't scoff on Goff. There you go, man. Well done, sir. All right, Brent, Goff scrambling, question mark, LOL. Not his strength by any means. I think you put a whole lot of work into him there and probably not get a whole lot of return on that. But could he throw better on the run? Yeah, that could probably be adjusted. All right, Matthew, if you want Surtain, you could take one of the two or one of the second or third round picks next year. First to pick him up. Yeah, I mean, what's it going to take to get him, and how much are you willing to give to get him? I know there was somebody in the comments section because that video I did a couple weeks ago on Lions, took a couple phone calls, just having a conversation with me about, hey, what if we did this or that to get him? It's all possible. It just all comes down to, I really think when Brad Holmes talks to other teams, he's trying to see if, well, okay, your expectation to acquire said players here, can he somehow nudge you down to a price he thinks is better for the Detroit Lions? If he doesn't, if he sees real value at that point, then he's probably pulling the trigger. All right, Joseph Green, salutations, coach, and Drew Crew, exclamation points. Surely they will sign Taylor Decker back, you think? Question mark. I just was reading up yesterday, but there's a potential that they won't. I think, yeah, when his contract's done, I think Decker's in a tough spot. I think there's real potential that he may have to sign for a lesser deal and then either move inside the guard, or his time in Detroit might be coming to a close. Wait and see how he performs this year. Wait and see what the team ultimately has to do, wants to do with him. But I think when you start losing your lateral quickness as a tackle, it's just tough because you become incredibly ineffective at blocking. Not that Decker was bad last year, but you could see his quickness, at least in my opinion. Um, when he went to shuffle his feet and maintain blocks, he struggled with some more of the elite guys more than he had in the prior couple years. If that continues, that means you probably are going to have to move him inside the guard if you want to keep him on the roster and keep him active, or just keep him for a backup, I guess. Because yeah, if you can't turn, you can't bend, you can't maintain leverage on the rushers, you're just going to get your quarterback killed. All right, Bo, what do you got? By now, Goff is what he is, a scrambler. He's not. No, he's not a scrambler. Hat man, exactly, Bo, 100%. Joseph, I like Jared Goff. I love the whole story of the comeback and everything. And hey, superseded everything that the Rams did to him. Yeah, and yeah, I think everybody when we went into that Rams playoff game last year, give Goff a lot of credit because any kind of past belief in him not being able to handle the big moment or perform under pressure. I mean, let's all take a moment and a step back and understand what that guy was probably going through that entire week, let alone game time against the his ex team, the coach that kicked you out, kicked you to the curb, the guy that replaced you and got the Super Bowl. You probably feel like should have been your Super Bowl, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But you know what? Other than one real boneheaded play that game, he played pretty lights out through that entire game. Um, so hey, I give Goff a lot of credit because he has revitalized his career and he's probably matured a lot as a player and person. All right, Don. Good morning. Good morning to you too, Joseph. I would like to see them use both of them throughout next the year. Okay, we'll go with that. Both the quarterbacks. I'm thinking you're saying. Let's see, Aaron Goff helped got us here. Yeah, if we can get a good deal for him, we need to keep him. Goff can give us another 3 to 4 years, 100%, especially at the quarterback position nowadays. I mean, is it possible Goff can play until he's 40? Sure, especially since he's a non-mobile quarterback. It's not like he's going to become incredibly less mobile over this time frame. So I do think there's real potential he could be a long-term answer in Detroit if that's the way both teams want to go. Thomas, as long as Detroit maintains a great offensive line, Goff will remain a top 10 quarterback. Yeah, I would agree. You keep him clean, he's going to pick you apart. All right, Joseph, I think Frank Ragnow is still the key ingredient for Goff because without him last season, when he didn't play in those games, Goff went downhill. Yeah, and other teams' defenses were able to get a ton more pressure up the middle when he was out or Jonah Jackson were out. Yeah, that spelled big trouble for the offense. Polar Bear, getting the number one seed will help 100% with that. You get that. Yeah, everybody's got to come through Detroit to get to the Super Bowl. That would help exponentially. I agree with you, Polar. All right, Brent Goff is probably the one player on the team with a bigger chip on his shoulder than St. Brown. He was thrown out with the trash, and now he wants Super Bowl victory to prove them all wrong. Yeah, and I get it, man, because I think he takes unfair blame for the Rams losing that one Super Bowl to New England and Brady. Goff did throw two potential touchdown passes that game. They were just dropped. And I think that people forget about that. One of those things are caught. Probably the Rams win. Both of them are caught. Yeah, the Rams definitely do win. So you can move blame all around, but I think people tend to forget some of the aspects of that game. All right, Ed, what do you got? Goff should take less money for a 2-year extension, win Super Bowl, then get paid by Detroit or whoever else. Could be what his representation is thinking for sure. Matthew, hey, Coach, we need to send a set of Motor City Mauler shirts to the guys on the Detroit D line. I would pitch in to help you pay for that if you do. Hey, that's not a bad idea. Try to get it over to them. Wonder if we could send it to the Lions PR department and let them know, hey, it's for the guys in the D line. Let's see what they do in the draft so we know a pretty good idea how many shirts to send over and go from there. So that's not a bad idea, Matthew. Ed, Lions really need to shore up the offensive line. I agree. And I think there's probably a strong likelihood they'll do some of that in the draft. Matthew, I rewatched the Chris Long interview with Lee McNeil last night, and they were talking about the fact that the D-line didn't have a moniker yet. Need to get them shirts, them to lock it in. Fair enough. I like the way you're thinking. All right, Doug, what do you got? Taylor Decker gets a big bag. It's time to build youth now. Need a spare tire that has new tread. This will be the new trend after we build a team. Fair enough. Yeah, I agree with you that hey, could probably afford to add some good parts to that defense, or excuse me, offensive line. Like I said, if we don't address it, especially a ton of the draft, to me that means the coaching staff feels those guys they already have there are really developing nicely, and there may be not the need that you and I and everybody watching probably anticipates the team needs. All right, Ed, guard, center, and tackle! Exclamation point. Our defense looks pretty good. Never thought I would say that. Laugh out loud. Yeah, and I think both the offense and the defense probably after this draft are going to look a whole lot deeper. I believe they're going to add parts to both sides of the ball. Trump, I think we end up with Certain. I would love it. I think all fans would love it, and it could just simply come down to draft night. Maybe the right player is matriculating down the draft board, and Denver wants them. And I know we've talked before with Patrick Surtain. I just think if I'm Denver, especially since I'm going to go get a young quarterback, got to get some younger parts on this team. Surtain's going to be in what, year 3 coming up? No, year 4 coming up, and the chances are when you're relevant in about another 2 to 4 years, Surtain's going to be near the end of his career, at least at a high level, because most cornerbacks and receivers, you get to about 30, and it just starts changing for you that those positions in a hurry. Most players, at least. So yeah, I would think you'd want to get value out of him sooner versus later if I'm Denver, because in 2 more years you're going to have to pay him, and you're going to have to pay him a lot. Silver Surfer, what do you got? Need a solid young offensive tackle replacement. Decker will not be resigned, I believe. Old, not too solid on the injury side, and too expensive. Yeah, there's a lot of things that are probably potentially going against Taylor Decker getting another big contract with Detroit. If he agrees to take a lower contract, then maybe you're talking a few more years here in Detroit, but we'll see what happens. Good morning, Coach. Good morning to you too, Surfer. Doug, imagine last year we had number 6 and the number 20. It's a shame what would be our picks with this year's draft choices. Who knows, man? Yeah, hey, woulda, coulda, shoulda. It happens, man. Hey, we should drafted Aaron Donald instead of Eric Ebron, but didn't happen. Happens. So now it's now it's on to what we're going to do this year. Don Burr, I think the woo should be banned. Fair enough. Yeah, Don, maybe not the biggest fan of the woos. So fair enough, man. And good morning to you, Donnie. All right, Trump's 1st and 7th for Surtain. Would you do it? I'd give up a 1st and 7th round pick for him in a heartbeat. Yeah, he'd already be landing here in Detroit if that was the case, but they didn't ask me. All right, Gary, what do you got? Good morning. Hey, good morning to you, Gary. 9 drinks. Good morning, Dude Crew. 100% and back at you, 9. I'd say Trump's. I'm at 99.4 total eclipse of your heart. There you go. All right, fair enough. Brian, interested to see how the board falls. Yeah, and there's always going to be somebody that is drafted sooner than anticipated. There are going to be people that fall more than anybody would have anticipated. So, and that's the biggest thing. The mock drafts, the national media, me, myself, everybody in between, we're all speculating what NFL teams are going to do. Nobody, I'm going to go on a limb and guess nobody saw the Lions trading back from 6 and taking a running back at 12 overall. And, that just from there on out, it changed the draft board for other teams because players that you didn't think were going to be available now are available. And anybody who thought Gibbs was going to go in the latter part of the first round was probably stunned by that. All right, Silver Server, let's consider there are quite a few injury concerns on this team. Reader recovering from a quad injury, Mosley, a second ACL, and has not played in 2 years. Ragnow just hanging. Yeah, draft replacements. I'm going to guess they will, man, 100%. I agree with you. All right, one funky. If you look at Goff's stats when protected versus he's top 4. When you look at stats when he's not protected, he's 35th. Imagine paying someone top dollar that is dependent on protection more than every starter. Yeah, I get your point 100% with that. But so if you're gonna sign Goff, you're making investments in that offensive line too, because you understand you got to keep him fresh. You got to keep him upright. Floyd, we got morning Dan Duke Crew exclamation point. Greetings and salutations, long time listener, first time catching you live. Lions do the dome or bust. 100%. Glad you were able to make it. For the morning show, Floyd. So hope you're enjoying. Hope you're having a great day. And yes, I concur with you. The Lions, it's Superdome this year. And thank you, Jason, for that praise, by the way. All right, Silver, what do you got? Goff has shown he can stay on the field. Hooker is not proven on the field and on the injury side. Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. You know what you have in Goff. There's a lot of speculation what you might have in Hooker. And the coaching staff in the office probably have a better idea than you, me, and everybody in between where the two quarterbacks are. But I'll be surprised if Goff is not the quarterback beyond this year. But if it happens, that means somebody else is better than expected. All right, one funky. I'm referring to how bad Goff is when pressured. The LA game is a perfect example. 22 of 22. Then he was no pressure, 0 for 5, 3 sacks, and really bad fumble on the 9 times he was pressured. Yeah, and again, he was under a lot of emotional pressure. I'm sure that game, but you take the good and bad with him. I would say this: most quarterbacks don't do well with pressure. There are the rare few that the pressure seems oblivious to him. But that's also why there's also only a few of those guys. The vast majority of players can't do that. Goff, hey, we could do a lot worse than him. Is it possible to get better than him? Sure, it's possible. It's just, are we going to be able to get better than him? That's where I think the big debate is. All right, sticky figure. I can't sleep. If you're gonna if you're gonna talk Lions, fair enough. Well, hey, welcome to the morning show. Like the thumbnail, and hopefully you're not sleeping on us. Oh, thank you for tuning in, man. All right, Trumps. Woo, 100%, and good back. Hey, going back to you with the woo. All right, JDC, Motor City, do crew. You're right with that one, JDC, and thank you for that. Silver Server, can't wait for the surprise draft Holmes is going to pull, and finally look at what the Lions will work with. Yeah, you think about it. About a month from now, the draft will be passed. We'll all have our grades, our speculations, any trades that realistically are going to happen for the team still, or other teams will have gone down. My anticipation is either just before the draft or on draft day. So we'll see what happens with this team, but all will be revealed in less than a month. Doug, what do you got? Dick LeBeau, Yale Larry, Lem Barney, Night Train Lane would love a sweet backfield. Yeah, that was a pretty good one, and a couple days ago. But yeah, most people forget, I think, that Dick LeBeau was a part of the Detroit Lions and even a coach for a while with us before he took off to other pastures. But yeah, real good one. Lem rocked. He did. He was a good one. I mean, everybody you just listed there, Doug. Yeah, those were lights out players. All right, Polar Bear wide receiver Cornelius Johnson from Michigan, or the tight end and the depth of offensive line are a possibility. Yeah, and the same with some guys from the defensive side of the ball too. 100%. Trump's make the woo mandatory. Woo! There you go. Boy, you are just going after Donnie Burr, aren't you? All right, Doug, we are set at offensive line, except if there are injuries. Then defenses can plan with our weak link in mind. Yeah, can plan with the weak link in mind. Lots of teams in NFL have had multiple offensive line injuries. Goff is not a survivor without a top line. Yeah, I would say, yeah, you want Goff to play perform at his best. You've got to have the best blockers out there for him. All right, Matthew. Ford Motor Company needs to step up and get these guys some endorsement deals. Goff can hawk trucks like Stafford did. St. Brown could do the USA and in Europe. Yeah, there you go. A good point with him being multi-language, lingual. That yeah, he could help do some commercials for them overseas. I know there's some restrictions with the Ford Motor Company in regards to Detroit Lions players. I don't know all the details for it. I just know since they're both entities of the Ford family, there are some restrictions. But I know we've talked about it before on the show, how I would handle it. If I was Sheila, I'd probably say, hey, and we'll just use Golf example. We'll get you some endorsement deals. So what she does is contact Little Caesars Pizza and say, hey, we'll put some money into advertising with you guys with the Ford Motor Company. If you say scratch our back and give Jared Goff, some Little Caesars commercials or something along that line, you get that. That they can do. But I do know the Ford Company is restricted in. Again, I don't know all literature behind it with some of the you employing Detroit Lions players for endorsements. Trey, I've been telling people Goff missed his chance to get an extension this offseason. Also, the fact that they want to see what they have in Hooker is a sign. If Hooker shows glimpses that he's better. Yeah, and hey, that's the reality of pro sports. If I know I've said it for months on the show. I believe nothing's going to happen with Goff's contract until we get probably through 2 preseason games. If Hooker does not look good, then you're probably re-signing Goff pretty quick at that point. Also, could be that Goff and his representation say, "Hey, that price tag just went up a little bit," but is what it is. If they do something beforehand, great. I think nobody's going to really complain. But I'm with you, Trey. I think they're going to wait to see those preseason games, at least one or two, to see what they potentially have in Hendon Hooker. Because at that point, you've gone through OTAs, you've gone through training camp. Now you're seeing some stuff in the preseason. Yeah, see what shakes out. Trey, Goff will be gone after his contract. Goff can only get you so far. It could be that could be the way they go. Donkey Kong, Super Bowl or bust. Here we go. Here we go, Donkey. And good morning. Trey, Goff is also not marketable for the Lions or the NFL. Yeah, I think he's, like I said, kind of ho hum. And, not that he won't get some endorsement deals. He has some, but he's not the easiest market guy for commercials. All right, let's see, Dr. Troy. Surtain should be where we go, who we go after. Excuse me. Yeah, I'd be fine with that. I think just about everybody watching the show would be. The only people that would probably not be happy if we traded our first round pick would be any Lions fans that went there opening night, because Lions aren't going to be doing anything that opening night in the draft. All right, Dr. Detroit, Goff's not being signed should tell Goff gobblers what they need to know, but they never stop. Yep. Hey, it is what it is, man. There are some, I forget what Michael Mike calls them. There's Goff truthers and whatever the other opposite side is, but it is what it is. I mean, I'm just going to trust in whatever the organization decides to do, because they have not missed on much in their time here. Jay Bridge, what do you got? Goff's good enough, while Hooker has a higher ceiling. Franchise Goff if you have to, but don't sign him long term. And that is a possibility they could do. They could play out this final season of his contract. If they feel like they need another season or two, they could franchise him for 2 straight seasons. Trade Dr. Troy. They would continue to defend the guy. The writing been on the walls since they drafted Hooker. That could be. That could be. Trump's Jay Bridge, a thumbs up. All right. Dr. Troy. Trey, I like Goff, and he did a solid. $50 million is rich for what he brings to the table. I know there will be people that debate that as well. 100% with that, Dr. Detroit. Phil, Goff's our quarterback now and in the future. Yeah, and you've heard me talk about it. I think he's probably going to get at least 3 years, but we'll wait and see what happens. Now, Detroit, what happened, Dan? What happened this season? Didn't someone drop a ball or two to keep us out of the playoffs? Keep us out of the playoffs. Maybe that wobbler is harder to catch. I will say this: if you're talking about the NFC title game, when Goff throws the first 4th down pass to Josh Reynolds, it wasn't the easiest pass to catch by any means. I mean, it did hit him in the hands, and the old adage is if it hits you in the hands, you got to catch it. But hey, I will go back with what Brad Holmes said. It's going to be a whole lot easier to get worse at that spot than it will be to get better. We're all hoping Hendon Hooker can be something. We haven't seen it yet, and I'm guessing, and it's just a guess, I'm guessing the Detroit Lions organization wants to see what Hooker can do before they make any kind of real determination. But if Hooker doesn't come out and just totally just launch himself all over the place this preseason, I do think the Lions are going to sign Goff for a 3-year deal. But been wrong before. All right, Trey, what do you got? Dr. Troy, I respect him for remaining poised and not giving up once he became a Lion, but I think we reached the ceiling with him. Goff, yeah, I think there could be some evidence of that. Cody, Trey, been saying it forever, 100%. Yep. Dr. Detroit, Trey, I agree. All right, the Silver Surfer, is Evan Brown been signed by anybody? Not that I'm aware, but I haven't really been paying attention to him, so you might have to Google that one, Surfer. I'm just not sure. All right, Polar Bear, the mental aspects of playing quarterback are overlooked at quarterback by many fans. Goff is good at those things. Yeah, he is, and he is fairly accurate. He gets on some streaks where he's lights out. Is he ever going to be the best quarterback in the league? No. Could the argument be made he is, annually top 8 to 5 quarterback? Yeah, I'd say over his time in Detroit, you could state he's probably a top 8 to 5 quarterback, or at least somewhere right around there. And I think therein lies the problem. He's pretty good. He might not be Pat Mahomes, and I think there's a lot of question. Could Hendon Hooker be near Goff's level, but at $50 million less a year? And I think that's the big debate. If the contract wasn't a situation for either guy, then you're probably just sticking with Goff. But if you're Brad Holmes, you're running the franchise, and if you think you can get 3 more years at $1 million or roughly about that with Hooker, if you feel they're close, then you're probably forced into a situation. But we're all speculating what's going to happen. We're going to have to wait and see what will happen. All right, Cody, what? If they were going to sign Goff, he'd already have a deal. Yeah, and it could be, but I still think they're waiting until the preseason to make that determination. All right, Dr. Troy, Goff is good, but not 50 million a year good. That could be the truth for that. All right, Bo, what do you got? I'm in for sending the Motor City Mauler t-shirts to the O line. I think that'd be all right, man. Yeah, that'd be pretty awesome. Phil, Goff is the smartest quarterback in the league. Could definitely be that. Man, if he got to the Super Bowl and taken a second NFL team there, which he nearly did, yeah, the conversation with him would be vastly different. But he's good enough at stuff where we all think he's a pretty good quarterback. He's got a couple areas he's not great at, which opens the door for people to speculate, hey, we should be looking at this guy. And that's just, hey, it is what it is, man. Trey, Cody, never. Thank you. The Chiefs didn't to give Pat I can't talk. Pat an extension after winning the Super Bowl. Yes, correct with that. And sorry that I got tongue tied twisted there, Trey. All right, Phil. 50 million is a bargain for Goff. Hey, we could give him more if we want. It just means you're going to lose some more players. Trey and Phil, he's not going to even close, but even if that is true, he's still very limited skill wise, and then it has a factor in at some point. Yeah, it does factor in, I'm guessing, and which is why we're even having this conversation. If that wasn't a factor, I don't think any of the Lions fans would have conversations about replacing Goff. All right, Ant-Man, you are right on both comments, Phil. There you go. Dr. Troy, Phil, if we pay 50 million, we can build the team the way we need for him. There we go. We can, yeah. And kneecap biting with the Motor City Lions. All right, fair enough. Has the contract been voided for certain yet? No, that's going to come down kneecaps to the NFL. They're the only ones that can officially, or them and the NFL's Players Association, void it. Could it happen or will it happen? I think there's a strong likelihood, but if this court deal ultimately gets squashed and thrown out, and all it ends up being was an accusation, that's where I think the great debate's going to come down for the NFL Players Association and the Cam Sutton's legal representation. Yeah, so I'm going to guess at this point the Lions are probably going to be on the hook for that contract. But if something happens in court where maybe there's evidence that we don't know about or whatever, or maybe he is charged and guilty of something, that's when the Lions could then get out of it. But right now, man, who knows? It's a lot of speculation. Dr. Trey, so no, Hatman isn't right. All right, fair enough. Dr. Troy, Sutton's contract not getting voided. Yeah, I think now that it's down to a misdemeanor and all that stuff, I'm thinking it's the Lions are probably going to end up having to pay him, or maybe something can be figured out where maybe only has to pay half or whatever. But I don't think they're getting it all washed away. All right, Dr. Troy, let Brad cook. There you go. Always let Brad cook. He's done a marvelous job with things. Polar Bear, the D line should be called the fearsome threesome in Dollar General defensive end until Brad gets a stud defensive end in the draft. There you go. Hey, we're throwing out tons of new names for the parts of the team. All right, Troy, the Dollar General D. There you go. You'll probably make that one stick. All right, JDC, Detroit Lions will bring, okay, and thunder and lightning, let's see, storm front, and a bunch of tornadoes in 2024. I think the D is going to be off the charts good. I think they're going to be fun to watch, blitzing all the time. They are going to get hit sometimes with some big plays because I do believe they're going to send the house a lot. And I hope they do that because I love the idea of imposing our will on the other team religiously. All right, kneecap biting. What do you got? Well, they put in the paperwork to void the contract when the arrest warrant was public. They did. Yep, they did. And then there was speculation that it was going to get all washed away. And it ultimately might get all washed away, the contract. I just have questions now that it's down to a misdemeanor. And my guess is now that formal charge is out there, it's probably going to get pled down to something very minute, especially if he's got any kind of lawyer with ability to defend him, Who knows, man? All is going to be revealed probably in the next 3 to 4 months. Mike the Marine, howdy, Dan, Lions faithful, back at you, Mike. Hopefully, you're having a good one. Ed, what do you got? Another good chat today. Thanks, Duke Crew. 100%. The Duke Crew shows up every day, man. And hey, I'm very thankful for this group. Dr. Trey, it's a misdemeanor. It is. It is. And, again, I just think this thing's probably going to go more Cam Sutton's way over time than it is anything else. I just think, especially if the accused victim backs out or recants, or maybe the legal law enforcement, local law enforcement says some of this isn't adding up, where the local DA or district attorney has to back off even more. Yeah, then if Sutton ends up being exonerated in any way, shape, or form, then yeah, that contract's not getting voided. Trey, what do you got? Would you guys be against the Lions selecting Brock Bowers in the first round? Him and Laporta can be Gronk and Hernandez 2.0. I did a video, whatever it was, a week or so. I'll go on that very topic, Trey. I'll say this: I'm all for it if it happens. If he slides down to 29, I don't know if I'd be in a hurry to trade up, but at least for me, and you guys can have your own thoughts. I just think what you could do in the running game with him out is basically your slot receiver. You'd open up a lot of things for Jameson Williams. The Lions do run a lot of 2 tight end sets. If he's your second tight end, boy, you could run probably some 3 tight end sets. Now that you got Brock Wright, him, Laporta, you can really hammer some things away, take some deep shots. St. Brown, I think, would be almost unguardable. Laporta, oof. I mean, who are you going to double? I don't know, man. But the short answer is yes, I'd be okay with it, but other people might not be. All right, kneecaps, whatever. That didn't matter for the warrant issued was a felony. It was, but you can be accused of something. You can be charged with something, but if it's all washed out as false information or whatever, then yeah, is what it is. I mean, you're innocent until proven guilty, and that's all I can say on it. And so let's all just wait and see what happens. All right, Dr. Detroit, the contract isn't getting voided. I would agree at this point. Dr. Detroit, he's available to play. Yeah, let Brad cook. There you go. Kurt, what you got? Trade Fitness. So which one is going to go gang? What is it? Going gangbuster and commit murder? What? So which one is going to go gangbuster and commit murder? I guess I don't understand that one. So sorry about that, Kurt. I didn't. Maybe I'm missing something. Apologies about that. Kneecap. Then we will have 7.5 million dead cap off the cap room not being taken off yet. No, if they do move it off the cap, it wouldn't be until after June 1st. That's my guess, at least. Kneecap, because they cut him the day the arrest warrant was made public. Yeah, and they did, but it's beyond my pay grade to say what the NFL is going to do with that. My anticipation is it's not being moved off the books. But if it happens, then great. The Lions have more cap money. Great, what do you got? Fans don't know what they have in Hooker, but I'm not 100% sure the Lions do. Yeah, and I'm with you, Ezra Grade, that I think they're going to wait until they see more from Hendon Hooker before they probably make any real decision. So OTAs, I mean, you get some stuff. He's going to wear the red jersey. He's not going to really be able to take hits, but you can see more on top of what you saw last year. And now when you get to the preseason, Goff and probably most of the starters on offense or defense aren't going to be on the field for those preseason games. So we do need to keep in mind he'll be out there with more than likely the second and third string guys, but you get to evaluate him a little bit more, see how he goes through things pre-snap and post-snap, see his accuracy and touch under duress, and that's probably where they're going to make their next level of assessments on Hendon Hooker. Grace, what do you? Isn't Hooker's injury his first, or was he injured in college before? That I can't answer. I just don't know enough to be able to accurately answer that one. Joseph, let's go draft time. Woo! 100%. And man, I think we're all just chomping at the bit for the draft. One funky Goff is ranked 34th when pressured, or excuse me, 35th when pressured. There are only 32 teams. Literally means Goff is the worst quarterback in the league when pressured. Can't pay him top dollar and keep the talent he needs to be successful. No, I get that, man. Yeah, if you're going to commit to him, if the Lions do commit to him on a 3, 5, or 10-year deal, they're going to have to focus on, hey, here's his strengths, here's his weaknesses. What do we have to do to play him more and more towards his strengths? So agree with you on that. Kneecap, his first injury, very good. And thanks for that, man. Great, what do you got? Lions have just 4 picks when with trade ups, none after the fourth. And that's what I've been thinking for a while. I just don't see mathematically how you can keep all the draft picks. So I'm with you. I do think there is a real strong chance in the first and second round we're going to trade up. So see what shakes. All right, Joseph. I was talking about Decker this year right here. Okay, and thanks for clarifying that. By the way, one funky Matthew. It's his first injury. Very good, Phil. I need someone to make me a Black Duke Crew sticker for the Duke Crew guitar. Whew, I'll see if Jen can get on that for you, man. I'll talk to her. So I'm on. Kurt, the Lions voided Sutton's contract before they released him, worth 10.5 million. Okay, very good. And yeah, see what shakes with that. Phil, woo, woo. There you go, Phil. Just for you, man. All right, a couple more here, and then it's been an hour. I got to get ready for stuff today. Joseph, it would be crazy to get rid of Decker this year, right here, and not draft no replacements. Yeah, I don't think they're going to get rid of him right now. But could they maybe not resign him after his contract's done? That I think is a possibility. Don Kong, luckily, Brad Holmes, the best GM ever, and doesn't blow money. This is true. No huge free agent contracts here, thank God. Yeah, he's been very cost efficient with anything he's selected. JDC, Lions train whistle, Phil. There you go. Trump's the First Amendment is a beautiful thing. God bless America. All right, I'll go with that. Phil, come down the track. Very good. JDC, stars and bars. All right. Kurt, Trump's a genius. All right. Neat caps. Bill Ford Jr. is salty because Sheila got the team. Yeah, hey, it happens, man. I know he was around for decades trying to help the team out, but yeah, he was never the person put in charge of it overall. Kneecaps, Goff's agent wants him to get pay raise this season. Yeah, I would agree. That's part of the job of the agent, right? See, Miles Marker, Goff Slappy, I am. Hey, nothing wrong with that, man. Nothing wrong with riding with the guy. He's done great here. The man helped bring us the division. It was the first for me. I wasn't here for the last one. Yeah, well, I hope you enjoy it, man. I hope he does it again this year. Polar Bear, the Lions know more about Hooker than we do, and Goff's extension is coming whether you like it or not. I would say there's probably a chance for that, 100%. This Goff hate is ridiculous. I don't think it's hate, man. I think it's just, hey, what do we have with the other guy? At least I would like to say it's not hate. All right, Brent, I'm with you, Bo. Still holding out hope we get Surtain. Yeah, me too, man. Me too. Surtain, it's not hate, it's reality. Very good. Goff, Phil. Goff is top 5 quarterback. I would say, yeah, the stats confirmed that the last few years. Dr. Detroit, only Gobbler thinks it's hate. Very good. Gary, Goff's future is offensive coordinator for Detroit. Could be in time. You never know, man. Kurt, Goff not being extended means nothing. There's no reason to extend him right now. Yeah, it simply could be that. Yes. Trey, mile marker, I wasn't there either, but I also know that Goff is not the long-term solution. I respect him for what he did, but I do think we reached our ceiling with him. All right, fair enough. Fair enough with that. Dr. Trey, out of the Super Bowl, not playoffs. Yeah, I knew we were going with that, man. I knew we were going with that. All right, guys, I got to go ahead and get out of here. Got to get ready for some stuff today. So if you haven't yet subscribed to Lions Talk Live, please consider doing so. Trying to make that push for 6,400 subs, and we're about 70 or 80 away, something like that. So if you can help out, that would be great. If you enjoyed the video, hit the thumbs up button. If there's some breaking news later today, I'll try to get to you as quick as possible. Otherwise, take care. Enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll see you on the next Lions Talk Live. Take care, everybody.